Level 1. The first night you wake up on cold dirt with a rock under your ribs and smoke in your nose. For 1 second, you think you are camping. Then you sit up and see no tent, no road, no phone, no city glow. Only a wide valley, black sky, and 27 strangers around a low fire made from brush and bone-dry wood. You are 16 years old, thin, scared, and wearing a rough hide tied with plant fiber. Your feet hurt before you even stand. The ground is frozen on top and wet below. Every breath turns white in front of you. A woman with a scar on her chin stares at you like you are a problem. She tosses you a cracked wooden bowl with maybe 12 berries in it. That is dinner. You eat too fast. Your stomach still aches when the bowl is empty. Nobody explains anything. Nobody needs to. If you do not move, you do not eat. If you do not learn, you do not last. That first night, you make every mistake. You sit too far from the fire and shake for hours. Then you move too close and burn the side of your hand. You fall asleep without covering your feet. You wake before sunrise with your toes numb and your jaw locked from cold. At dawn, the group starts moving. No one asks if you are ready. A man with gray in his beard points at the ground, then at the women carrying woven bags. You understand one thing: pick food or go hungry. You spend 6 hours following them through low grass, thorn brush, and patches of wild barley. You pull roots too early and snap them. You grab berries from the wrong bush and your fingers swell. You carry too little, then too much. By noon, your back feels split in half. Still, you learn fast because pain teaches fast. You learn which seeds fall clean into the basket. You learn that one patch of tubers can feed 5 people for a day, if you dig wide and not deep. You learn that dry grass hides sharp stone, and sharp stone opens skin faster than teeth. By sunset, you bring back 1 bag with maybe 4 pounds of roots, 2 handfuls of nuts, and a lizard a child caught and shoved into your hands like a joke. It is not much, but it is yours. Nobody praises you. Still, when the bowl comes around that night, you get a larger share. That feels huge. You sleep closer to the fire. You wrap your feet. You wake up less afraid. 3 days later, you help carry water in skin bags from a stream half a mile away. On the way back, 1 bag leaks because you dragged it over rock. You lose nearly half the water. The woman with the scar slaps the back of your head so hard your ears ring. You feel stupid. You also never drag a water bag again. By the end of your 2nd week, you know the group. There are 27 people. 9 are children under 10. 6 are old enough to slow down. Most of the real work falls on 12 adults, and now you are one of them. That is the first lesson of 1000 BC. You do not survive alone. You survive by being useful before sunset. You stop thinking about escape. You start thinking about tomorrow's food. Then tomorrow gets harder. Level 2. The hunger walk at 17. Your legs are stronger, but the valley is weaker. The berries thin out first, then the roots get smaller. Then the rabbits vanish from the grass. Winter is ending, but the land still feels empty, like it has been picked clean by too many hands and too many mouths. The group starts walking farther every day. First 2 miles, then 5, then 8. Your shoulders harden under the weight of bags, wood, and skins. The old people breathe louder. The little kids cry faster. One morning you leave before light and do not return until dark. You walk nearly 12 miles. Your reward is 6 eggs stolen from a ground nest, 1 armful of reeds, and a dead hare so thin you can feel every bone through the fur. That night, 27 people share less than 10 pounds of food. You go to sleep hungry and wake up hungrier. The gray-bearded hunter, the one with the broken nose, starts taking you with the young men. You are not a hunter yet. You are extra hands. You scare animals toward the others. You carry spears. You watch. The first spear they let you throw is a joke. A small antelope breaks left. You panic and throw too early. The spear turns in the air and lands point first in the dirt 3 body lengths short. The antelope runs. One of the older boys laughs so hard he nearly drops his own spear. You want to disappear. Instead, you pick the spear back up and keep running. For 3 weeks, you miss almost everything. You throw late. You throw high. You grip too tight. Once you chase a wounded gazelle too far from the group and get turned around in tall grass. By the time you find your way back, the sun is low and everyone thinks you are dead. Nobody welcomes you. They are too tired. The lesson is clear anyway. Pride gets you lost. Lost gets you killed. So you learn to watch feet, not horns. You learn to throw from the shoulder, not the wrist. You learn to breathe once before release. You learn that most hunts fail, and that failure is normal. That matters. It keeps you from breaking after every mistake. Then, one cold morning, a boar charges from brush thicker than your arm. It is bigger than you expect, maybe 180 pounds. It hits one hunter in the thigh and knocks him flat. Everyone scatters. You freeze for half a second, and half a second is enough to die. But the boar turns broadside. You throw. The spear goes in behind the shoulder. Not deep enough to kill it, deep enough to slow it. The others finish it with 2 more thrusts and a stone axe blow to the skull. When it is over, your hands shake so hard you can barely pull your spear free. The group eats well that night. Fat hisses over the fire. Marrow gets cracked from bone. Even the children smile with grease on their cheeks. For the first time, the broken-nosed hunter nods at you like you belong. That small nod changes you more than the meat. You are not dead weight anymore. You are becoming useful in a harder way. Then the hunter whose leg got cut from the boar cannot walk well for weeks, and his jobs fall on you. Now you do not just carry food. Now you help bring it home. Level 3. Blood and Flint at 18. You start making tools because broken tools can be as deadly as hunger. A spear point snaps at the wrong time and a hunt turns into a funeral. A dull scraper ruins a hide and your family sleeps cold. A cracked knife wastes meat. Every edge matters now. An older woman named Tara works stone better than anyone in the group. Her fingers are bent and scarred. Her left eye is cloudy white. Her blades are perfect. You sit beside her for hours, watching her strike flint with antler and bone. Tap, turn, tap, turn. A long, sharp flake falls into her lap like magic. When you try, the stone explodes in your hand and slices open your palm. Blood runs down your wrist and onto the rock. Tara does not comfort you. She takes your hand, wraps it in moss and hide, and tells you to watch again. So you do. You learn that stone has lines hidden inside it. You learn where to strike and where not to. You ruin 20 good pieces before you shape one blade worth keeping. Then you ruin another 10 before you can tie a point to a shaft without making it crooked. Progress is slow. Hunger is not. So you make tools between jobs, at dawn, after dark, during short breaks, whenever your hands still move. By summer you make 4 usable spear points in 1 week. By the end of the season you make 12. They are not Tara's blades. They are yours and they work. That same summer the group loses a little girl to fever. She is 5 years old. She burns hot for 2 days, then cold for 1, then does not wake up. No spear can stop that. No trap can fix it. You help carry her small body to a shallow grave lined with flowers and red earth. That is when 1000 BC teaches you another rule. Skill keeps death farther away. It never sends death away forever. After the burial, everyone works quieter. You work harder. You trade one of your best stone blades to another camp near the river for dried fish and a chunk of black volcanic glass. Obsidian. It cuts cleaner than flint and shines like frozen night. It is the first real trade you ever make. That trade matters, not because of the fish, because you feel a new door open in your head. Wealth is not coins. Wealth is whatever saves work, saves time, and saves lives. A sharp blade is wealth. A full skin bag is wealth. A dry shelter is wealth. By the time the leaves turn, you own 2 good blades, 1 bone needle, 1 scraper, 1 spear you trust, and a leather pouch with drilled shells the children think look rich. You have no money. You still have value. Then the weather changes early. A frost comes in one night and kills plants that should have lasted 2 more weeks. The roots get hard. The rabbits stay hidden. Hunger comes back fast. Now the group needs more than tools. Now the group needs planning. Level 4. Firekeeper at 19. You stop being the youngest worker and start becoming the one others rely on when things go wrong. The autumn wind is mean that year. 3 days out of every 7, it blows hard enough to bend trees and whip sparks out of the fire pit. One careless moment could burn the whole camp. One dead fire could freeze everyone before dawn. The woman with the scar gives you a new job. Guard the fire. At first it sounds easy. It is not. Fire in this world is not a button. You do not lose it and casually get it back. You keep coals alive under ash. You feed the flame slowly. You protect it from rain with hardened stone. You wake up in the dark to check it. You sleep in pieces, never fully. The first week you almost fail. A storm hits after midnight. Water pours through the shelter roof and turns the wood slick. You wake to smoke and weak orange light. The fire is dying. You crawl into the rain, your knees in mud, and dig through the ash with bare hands until you find 1 coal still red. You build a nest of dry grass under a flat stone, blow until your chest hurts, and finally catch a flame no bigger than a bird's eye. When the fire rises, people around you begin to breathe again. Nobody cheers. But when morning comes, nobody is frozen either. That winter you improve the camp. You line the main fire pit with stone. You build a raised rack for damp wood. You help Tara sew thicker wall covers from 6 deer hides. You dig a shallow trench around the sleeping area so rain runs past instead of through it. These are small changes. They save hours. Hours save energy. Energy saves lives. You also start keeping count, not with words on paper, with marks on bone and memory in your head. You know how many days the dried meat lasts if each adult gets one strip and each child gets half. You know how many armloads of wood disappear in a cold night. You know how many water skins the group needs before a long move. This new kind of skill is less exciting than hunting. It matters more. One evening, while checking traps, you find a wolf watching from the ridge. It is lean, gray, and alone, not a full-grown giant, maybe a year old. You expect it to run, it does not. It keeps coming back over the next week, hanging near the bone pile. The children are scared. The hunters want to kill it. You toss it scraps instead. That is another mistake. You feed it too close once, and it snaps at your wrist. Teeth scrape skin. You leap back and nearly spear it on instinct. Instead, you freeze, breathe, and wait. The wolf lowers its head and backs away. The next day, you toss the scraps farther. Slowly it learns. Slowly you learn too. By the end of winter, it sleeps just outside the edge of camp, never touching anyone, always hearing what you do not hear. When strange footsteps come near one night, it growls before the adults wake. The hunters chase off 2 men from another band trying to steal dried meat. The wolf stays. You do too. And when spring comes, you notice something that changes everything. The camp where grain was dropped months ago is growing thicker than the hills around it. Level 5. Seeds at 21. You stop chasing every meal and start asking a dangerous question. What if food could stay? You kneel near the old campfire ground and touch the stalks. Wild barley, thick and crowded where grain fell last season. Not magic, not luck. Cause and result. Seed and plant. You test it the way this world teaches every lesson. With your back, you clear a patch of land near the stream. Not much, maybe 30 steps long and 15 steps wide. Roughly 500 square feet. You cut brush with stone blades, dig roots with antler picks, and pull rocks until your fingers bleed. The hunters laugh. They say no one owns the ground. They say the herd moves and so should you. They say digging for food like a mole is slower than chasing it like a man. They are partly right. Your first planting goes badly. Birds eat some seed. Heavy rain washes some away. Part of the patch grows thick, part grows almost nothing. When you harvest, you get less grain than the work feels worth. Maybe 20 pounds in total after drying and cleaning. A good hunting day can beat that. For a week, you feel foolish. Then the next week, the hunting fails 4 days in a row, and your grain is still there. It is not enough to feed 27 people. It is enough to matter, enough to prove something. You plant again, this time smarter. You fence the edges with brush. You save better seed. You choose softer ground. You pull weeds early. 2 women join you. Then 3. Then one of the older hunters starts helping in secret after his knee goes bad. By the next year, your planted area is 4 times bigger. Not a field yet. More like a promise. You also start storing seeds in lined pits, sealed with clay and stone. The first pit goes bad because moisture gets in and mold eats almost half. That loss hurts. Months of work gone sour. So you rebuild. Higher ground, better lining, tighter lid. The second pit holds. That changes the mood of the whole group. For the first time, winter is not only fear, it is a math problem. If the pit holds 60 pounds of grain, if the dried meat lasts 6 weeks, if the roots stay good another month, maybe the children will not go thin this year. You begin to trade seed knowledge for goods. One nearby camp brings you salt. Another brings woven baskets. Another brings a young goat with 1 torn ear, too weak to travel far, and asks for 2 sacks of grain in return. The goat is trouble. It eats anything. It kicks. It smells terrible. It slips its rope twice in the first week and ruins part of your patch. The hunters laugh again. Then the goat survives the winter. Then it births 2 kids in spring. Now nobody laughs. Your work no longer ends at sunset. You guard seedlings at dawn. Mend fence by noon. Dry stalks in afternoon light. Check the grain pit before sleep. Listen for the goat in the dark. You are always working. You are also building something no one in your band has ever truly had. A future that can be counted. Then more people come. And more people mean more hunger, more trade, more envy, and more risk. Level 6. The village of 40 at 26. The camp is no longer a camp. It is becoming a village. There are now 40 people sleeping in a place that once held 27. Some are children born in the last 5 years. Some are mates from nearby bands. Some are old people who came because your grain pits stayed full when theirs emptied. A bigger group sounds like safety. It feels more like pressure. 40 people need around 80 pounds of food a week if you want everyone working well. They need water every day. They need firewood, hides, tools, and some kind of rules before the whole place tears itself apart. You start building with mud, wood, and stone instead of only hides. Roundhouses first. then storage rooms with raised floors, then a fence, not to stop an army, just to slow dogs, goats, and thieves. The work is brutal. You haul beams thicker than your thigh. You carry baskets of mud until your shoulders burn. You sleep with dirt in your hair and clay under your nails. And the problems keep growing. A boy of 12 leaves a gate open, and the goats chew through a whole row of young grain. You want to scream. Instead, you make him help replant every seed. A storage pit collapses because the wall was cut too steep. You lose maybe 15 pounds of grain. Not a disaster. Still enough to make your stomach sink. Then one hot month brings rats. They come for the grain and stay for everything else. They chew baskets. They foul sleeping mats. They spread sickness. A baby nearly dies after 3 days of fever and loose bowels. You trap the rats. You raise more grain off the ground. You keep dogs and the now half-tamed wolf's pups near the storerooms. Yes, pups. The old wolf stayed long enough to trust you, then vanished one winter. But not before leaving behind a new habit. Now 2 young camp dogs sleep by the fence and bark at strangers before they reach the firelight. Another small victory, another thing you have to feed. Your role changes too. You hunt less now. You still can, you just do not have the hours. You spend more time settling fights over water, over tools, over who gets help first when the roof leaks and the storm is already close. This is its own kind of career. You start as a scared extra mouth. Now people bring you problems before they bring you meat. One evening, a man accuses another family of stealing grain. Voices rise. Spears come out. Children start crying. One bad breath could turn the village into a blood pit. You step between them with empty hands. You open the storage room. You count sacks. You check footprints in the wet ground outside. You find the truth fast. The grain was not stolen. The floor mat split, and a sack leaked through a gap in the wall where rats had chewed the fibers. Nobody likes feeling foolish. That makes the moment dangerous. But when you show the whole, anger has somewhere else to go. That night, no one dies. You learn something heavy then. In a bigger world, truth is not enough. You also need calm. By 28, your wealth is plain to see. 3 storage pits. 2 goats turned into 11. 1 strong house. 6 stone blades of trade quality. A roof that does not leak. Enough spare grain to lend some out and expect labor back after harvest. You do not have coins, you do have power. Then the sky stops raining. 7. The dry years at 32, the stream shrinks to a line of mud and flies. The first dry year is bad, the second is worse. Wild grain on the hills fails almost completely. The planted plots do a little better, but not enough. The goats grow thin. The children's bellies swell in the wrong way. Old people stop pretending they are full and start giving food away. You cut rations, adults get less. Workers rotate tasks so nobody collapses. You send hunting groups farther north. Some come back empty. One does not come back at all. That loss sits over the village like smoke. Hard choices arrive one by one, then all at once. Do you eat the breeding goats now, or protect them for later? Do you trade precious obsidian for food, or keep the best blades for security? Do you let hungry strangers join you and thin your stores, or turn them away and hear their children cry in the dark? You make mistakes because every choice costs something. You let in one family of 5 because the father once saved your life during a boar hunt years ago. They work hard and earn their food. Good choice. Then you let in 3 more men because they promised to help dig a deeper well. 2 steal tools and run before dawn. Bad choice. Trust becomes expensive. So you change how the village works. No more private hoarding of grain when the children are starving. No more taking from stores without witness. You place 2 counters at every distribution. 1 counts sacks. 1 counts hands. You create rules before hunger turns everyone into animals. The deeper well takes 19 days. The first 10 are hope. The next 7 are doubt. The last 2 are rage. You dig through packed dirt and stones, then harder clay. Some men want to quit. Then on the 19th day, wet earth turns to slow seep, and slow seep turns to water. Not much. Enough. Enough changes everything again. You ration it hard. Drinking first, animals second. Mud for building last. You lose 4 goats that summer anyway. You lose 1 old man who gives away too many meals. But the village stays alive. When late rains finally return, the whole place smells like relief. That season, every hand plants. Even the old women with bent backs crawl through the rows dropping seed. Even children carry water in tiny shells and bowls. You plant more carefully than ever before, because now you know what empty looks like. The harvest that follows is not great. It is enough. Enough is beautiful after near death. And from that famine, something inside you changes for good. You stop thinking only about this year. You start building for the worst year. More storage. Deeper pits. Better roof seal. Spare seed hidden in 2 places, not 1. You create safety out of memory. The child you once were at level 1 would have eaten everything when full. The adult you are now saves for the day the sky says no. Then another challenge comes, not from nature this time, but from people. They want what you built. Level 8. With the walls in the name at 38, your village has a name, not written, spoken. It means something close to the place that stays. That name pulls others in. Traders come with shells from far water. Hunters come with red ochre, fine hides, and stories of places beyond the hills. Some stay, some watch too closely. One autumn, a band of 14 strangers arrives at dusk. They are lean, armed, and polite in the way hungry men get polite before they stop being polite. Their leader asks to trade for grain. You agree. Then one of your boys catches them measuring the storeroom with their eyes. That night you do not sleep. You double the watch. You move the best grain. You place spears near every doorway. At dawn, the strangers are still there. The first fight begins over almost nothing. A missing goat, a shove, a hand on a knife. Then the air breaks open. It is messy and short. Not a grand battle. Just fear, dust, screaming, and men slipping in mud. One of your guards takes a spear in the shoulder. You strike a raider with a club so hard your hands go numb. The camp dogs go wild. Children run into houses. Women throw stones from the roofs. When it ends, 2 strangers are dead, 3 are wounded, and the rest are gone. You stand in the center of the village, blood on your forearm, heart crashing in your chest, and understand the next rule of staying in one place. Food attracts friends. Food attracts enemies too. So you build harder. You raise thicker walls of mud, brick, and timber. Not huge, not perfect. Strong enough to slow a rush and give time to gather. You narrow the entrances. You build platforms for watchmen. You keep water and spare stones near the gate. The work takes months. It also changes how people see you. You are no longer just the one who planted, counted, or judged. You are the one who turned fear into shape. The village grows to 53 people by your 40th year. There are 6 houses for families, 3 shared work shelters, 2 main grain stores, 1 deep well, and a goat pen that finally smells worse than the tannery. You laugh more now. Not because life is easy, because some victories are too big not to feel. A girl of 9 runs up to you one evening with a loaf made from ground grain and wild herbs. Flat, uneven, half-burned on one side. It still tastes better than the cold roots you ate on your first night in this world. You chew slowly and almost cry, not because of the bread, because you remember the bowl of 12 berries. Because you remember being nobody. Because now children in your village think stored grain, warm roofs, watchdogs, and bread are normal. That might be the greatest change of all. But time never stops leveling you up. It only makes the price higher. Your hair starts going gray, your knees ache in the cold, and the children you once carried now look to you for the future. Level 9. Full circle at 47, you wake before dawn to the sound of a child crying outside in the cold. For one sharp second, you are 16 again. Your hand moves to the fire on instinct. Check the coals, check the roof, check the dark. The same old fear still lives somewhere inside you. It just wears an older face now. You step outside your house wrapped in a thick hide sewn with bone needles you once learned to make from terra. The village is quiet under a pale sky. Smoke lifts from strong roofs. Dogs sleep by the gate. Goats stir in the pen. Grain sits dry behind sealed walls. The well holds water. The fire lives. The crying child is a boy from one of the newer families, maybe 6 years old. He had a nightmare. He thought the dark outside the wall would swallow him. You kneel beside him and point toward the houses, the fence, the storerooms, the warm light leaking through cracks in the doors. You show him what stands between him and the dark. Then you realize something almost too big to hold. You built that. Not alone, never alone. But with your hands, your failures, your scars, your hunger, your counting, your planting, your bad choices, your good ones, your long winters, your dry years, your nights with dying coals, your mornings with empty stomachs, your endless trying. You walk to the oldest part of the village where the first rough fire pit once sat. The stones are worn now, half buried. Children climb over them without knowing what they were. You remember burning your hand there. You remember numb toes, a weak bowl of berries, and the awful feeling that if you were not useful by sunset, you would vanish from the world without a mark. Now your mark is everywhere, in the well, in the grain pits, in the planted fields that stretch farther than your first foolish patch, in the dogs sleeping by the gate, in the rules people follow when fear rises, in the bread the children eat without thinking how impossible it once was. Later that day, the young adults ask you to walk the new plots beyond the eastern fence. They want advice on where to plant before the rains. You go with them slowly, leaning on a staff cut from ash wood. They talk fast. They argue about spacing, water flow, goat pens, and whether to clear another strip near the stream. You listen. Then you smile, because they sound exactly like people planning to stay for another 100 years. You tell them the ground near the slope will wash out if the rains come hard. You tell them to split the seed stores, never keep all hope in one hole, and never trust a roof that survived one storm to survive the next without work. They nod. They write nothing down. They remember anyway. When the sun drops, you sit by the evening fire with a warm, flat loaf in your hand and 53 lives around you. You hear laughter. You hear a baby coughing but then settling back to sleep. You hear 2 dogs bark once at something moving beyond the wall, then quiet when it passes. You look at the flames and think of level 1, the cold dirt, the strangers, the fear, the 12 berries. Back then you wanted one warm night. Now you have given hundreds of warm nights to other people. Back then you wanted one full meal. Now you have helped build stores that carry families through winter. Back then you were trying not to die before morning. Now you have made a place where children can dream past tomorrow. The dark still exists outside the walls. Hunger still waits in bad seasons. Death still walks this land. But you are no longer the lost beginner who woke up in 1000 BC with nothing. You are the firekeeper. You are the planter. You are the toolmaker. You are the judge in hard times. You are the builder of the place that stays. And when the youngest children run across the village at dusk, barefoot and loud, never once wondering if the fire will go out before morning, that is when you finally understand how far you have come.